Day 53 solution, we're going to build our inventory system for a video game. And this is quite a nice little task because this is something that exists in nearly every video game. So somebody somewhere is building this very, very regularly. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to import my classics just in case I need them. And I'm going to create my inventory. I'm then going to get stuck straight into auto load because we know we can build this now with our try and accept. So try f equals open inventory.txt. In read mode, we're going to make sure that our inventory is the evaluated version, which turns it back into code, remember, of f.read, which is the text from the file. And then we're going to do f.close to make sure that's saved up. We'll put accept in, and I'm just going to pass it this time, which is bad practice, but I don't need to tell my user that there's nothing in the inventory. I just need to go, okay, there's nothing in the inventory. You don't start a game and the game suddenly goes, ah, quick, look out, there's nothing in the inventory. Really, that doesn't tend to happen, does it? So we'll just quietly go, yeah, it's cool. Okay, bit of space because I'm sure I'll be doing some subroutines in a minute. We'll put our while true in. I'm going to do my time.sleep1 at the top and my os.system clear to wipe the screen. Then I'm going to print out inventory, print out some equal signs just to pretend they're like an underline, blank line, and then I'm going to list the options. So menu equals inputs 1, add, new line, 2, view, new line, 3, remove, new line, option for the user to type. If the menu is 1, then we'll use the subroutine add. Elif, the menu is 2, we'll do otherwise. We'll go to remove. And my subroutines then I'll write in a moment, but I'm going to add my autosave code here. F equals open, what did we call it? Copy this actually because it's very, very close to this code anyway. I don't need the try and accept on this because there's very, very little that can go wrong with this. It needs to be in write mode. F.write, the string version of that. Turns it to text so I can save it to a file and close it. So I believe I have save and load working well. Let's try it out. Doesn't matter what I do because all those will crash. So there we go. But it should, once I've got these subroutines put in there, work. I'm going to show you a little trick with the subroutines because when we're doing this sort of stuff, I actually want to pick one of those and get it to write the file, but I can't because my subroutines are not defined yet. So I'm going to show you a little trick here, which is if I just put parse in them, which we've seen before. Parse is just a line of code that tells the computer, you know, move on here, nothing for you to see, don't do anything, but don't crash either. It's a nice way of testing out your code without it all needing to be there or even thought out, because that's half the battle sometimes, is just thinking it through. So I can go to add, nothing happens, but now it will have, hopefully, actually added that to, so done the auto load code. So let's have a look if I've got a file. I do, my inventory file's there. So let's have a look, and it's a blank list, just like I thought it should be. Okay, let's add our items. It's going to be nice and simple. It's just going to ask for the name. So I'm going to pinch that actually because I quite like this as a sort of a starting point. Then I'm going to do item equals input, item to add, and it was capitalize is what I asked to do to that. Make sure the first letters are capital, the rest are lowercase. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to mostly make the system work better. And of course, it'll be consistent for us to remove the item. We're then going to just do, I think, a normal 1D inventory here. Sorry, I keep changing between pronunciations. Inventory dot append item, and then we print added, and then maybe I think we're good there. Let's test that works. Right. First thing I found was a wand. You'll see it got added. I also found a sword. I'm going to do silly capitalization here just to check that capitalization works fine. Works nice. Okay. So I'm going to do the remove next because the remove should be quite straightforward, but the view is the one that's a little bit complicated. So I'm going to copy this because it's going to be broadly the same as that one. Item to remove, capitalize it. We need to do a little check here. If item in inventory, remove it and say removed. Otherwise, print out something like you don't have that item, and then that should work nicely. So let's try that. So if I try to remove, and try and remove something that's not here first, a potion, you don't have that item, that's good. If I remove my wand, you see it went from my inventory there in my autosave straight away. Okay, the difficult one now, which is the view, because it's not just a pretty printer here. So I could just do this. For item in inventory, print item. So I could just do that. And it works, but it ain't very nice. And do you know what? I'm going to bring this stuff in again, because it's always nice to have, oh dear, sorry, wrong place. Bring that in, because we've got the consistent heading then. We've got our items printed out. I'm also right at the end going to add another time.sleep just for 2 seconds, so you can actually read what's in the inventory. Now, first of all, I need to be able to count how many of each item's there, and that's an easy job, because I can do this. Turn that into an F string. So I need to do inventory.count item. That just counts how many of that item there are in there. So let's stop that and let's try it again. Let's see it working. So 1 sword. Okay, if that's the case. Let's add some stuff. Let's add a potion. Let's add another potion. So when I view now, it does tell me how many potions I had, but it prints them out twice, because what it's doing is it's going through that list and it's going through, here's a sword, 1 sword. Here's a potion, you've got 2 potions. Here's another potion, you've got 2 potions. There's no sort of differentiator between what's there and what's not. So there's sort of 2 ways we can do this. There's a long way and a short way. We'll do the long way first. So I'm going to create a list called scene. I'm just going to put an if in here. If item not in scene. So in other words, if I haven't seen it before, I'm going to print it out and I'm going to do scene.append item. So what that's doing is very, very simple. It's going, look, have you seen this thing before? If you haven't, print it out with the quantity. Then add it to the I've seen it list. If you have seen it, do nothing. So now, when I go to view, I only see potion on there once, because it's been added to that list. So that's the long way. The other way is to look at a different data type called a set. Now a set is a list, sort of, but it's only allowed 1 of each type. So what we can do is we can say scene equals set, so it turns into a set. For item in scene, and then we don't need this at all. We don't need that at all. We can just do that. And so that works exactly the same way, but a lot shorter. And the only difference there, well, there's a few differences. One is that I probably wouldn't write my code like this, because if you don't know what a set is, that makes the point of the code more difficult to understand. It's certainly quicker in terms of writing code, but we have obfuscated it. We have made it a bit more complicated to read by the nature of using another data type and relying on the fact that we assume the person reading the code knows what that is. The other way was easier, simpler, made more logical sense, but this will be quicker. Whichever way you prefer to do it, it's up to you. I'm going to leave it as the slightly simpler way, because I think that's a nicer answer, honestly. But that works exactly as we wanted now. Happy days!